Hey, today I'm going to answer another question. Is it normal to absolutely freeze a while after getting out? I feel awesome right after. Like an hour or so later, I find myself wrapped in a thick blanket and my feet feel like they're falling off. Is this normal? I'm going to answer that, but before, hello and welcome. My name is Mr. Cold Shower and this is Cold Training. Who's Mr. Cold Shower? The guy here, this is me. And I am originally from Germany, spent some time in Switzerland, founded the Swiss Cold Training Association in 2019. This is like the FIFA for cold training. And speaking of FIFA, I actually ran a workshop for FIFA. And I am a formally trained Wim Hof method instructor. I taught alongside Mr. Wim Hof. And I brought hundreds of people into the cold safely. And apparently, they like it. Maybe just for the picture. All right, what is cold training? Cold training is all the shenanigans that you can think of, including cold showers. I'm not into crazy stuff. These pictures here are just for you for illustration purposes to see what's really possible once you start with cold training. All right, coming back to the question. So the person's asking, is it normal to freeze a while after the cold shower? And the simple answer is not simple. It's no, and it's yes. It depends on how you do it. Feeling great and feeling cold are actually two different things, and you need to keep that in mind because feeling cold is from the body, feeling great is mainly from the head. I'll dive into the details later if you stick around. All right. You need to understand that your body acts like a steak and a champagne bottle. I'll explain to you later why that is. And your heat production depends on your mitochondria, which are the power cells inside your body, and it depends on your muscle mass and the usage thereof. All right, the main thing that I want you to take away from this video is it is about how fast you warm up after your cold training. That is important. It's not the duration in the cold shower, it's not the temperature of the water, it is how fast you warm up afterwards, all right? Remember that. All right, if you don't want to see all the details, then skip ahead. Don't you dare click away. So, why do you feel great? What happens up there in the brain? Your brain releases basically a chemical cocktail of neurotransmitters and hormones that make you feel good. I'll quickly go through them. This is not super scientific. This is just for you to understand high level what's going on. So, number one, what immediately peaks is your adrenaline. Let's say you are in a dangerous situation, you feel threatened, or you enter a cold shower, then your body releases adrenaline, you're awake and sharp. So this one peaks immediately, drops afterwards. Then afterwards you get a flood of oxytocin, you feel grateful for everything, you feel like you could hug the world. Then testosterone is boosted in men and women, more men than in women, and estrogen is boosted in women. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is also increased, but it's usually just a short spike. And the more you do cold training, the less pronounced it is. And then you have norepinephrine or noradrenaline, which goes up and lasts for 1 to 2 hours, which gives you that additional energy. And then dopamine, the motivation boost and the feel good that you get lasts for a few hours. Then comes the question, oh, sorry, I forgot the endorphins, the natural painkillers. They last longer, and that's why some people report it helps them with rheumatoid arthritis or other pain-related issues. So, why do you feel cold? Let's talk a little bit about physics. And I want you to understand how heat is transferred from one object to the other, so you can use that in other contexts and understand cold training better. If you don't want to understand physics, just skip to the next chapter. All right, there are 3 different types of heat transfer. Number 1, conduction. Means materials or objects are in direct contact with each other. So here I wrote down sitting still in an ice bath, but you can also just think of grabbing this mouse with your hand. At the beginning, this mouse is room temperature. After a while, it becomes warmer and warmer until it reaches the same temperature like your skin. Then we have convection. In this case, it's forced convection because the water in your shower is flowing. is described as actively pushing a fluid or gas to facilitate heat transfer. That's a little bit elaborate way of saying, if I blow over this mouse, the heat will dissipate faster. And of course, the same is with water. If I run water over my hand or if I'm in a cold shower, it takes a lot of heat away from your body. And then there's a third one that's not relevant to your question, but it's important to understand, and that is radiation, which is transfer of energy via electromagnetic waves. If you stand next to a person and you just hold your hand kind of here or here, you notice there's heat coming off. Or if you're in the sun, you feel the sunshine on your skin. That's radiation. Not relevant in this example because we talk about losing heat, but just so you understand the whole picture. So coming to heat transfer. You are generally warm and you step into a cold shower, meaning cold water has a lower temperature than you. What happens? Well, surprise! The heat is transferred from you to the cold water. It basically takes the energy off of you to increase the cold water. And if you stay long enough, you basically balance yourself. Obviously, that doesn't work if you are producing heat and if there's more water coming. But if you have one object with one heat level and the other object with another temperature, they would eventually have the same temperature. All right. Now, why did I say you are kind of a steak? If you've ever put a steak into a pan, you notice that at the beginning, the outside becomes brown, darkish, and the inside, if you cut it, is still rose-colored. That is because the heat is transferred from the outside in, and it takes a little bit of time for it to permeate. Now, if you do that longer and you keep the steak in the pan, then obviously it becomes darker and darker until at the very end it is well done. Now, if you look closely here, you can see that the outside is already burned. The inside is still kind of lightly colored compared to the outside. Now, what I want you to understand is that if you want to have this outcome or this, you actually need to stop heating the steak, take it off the pan and let it rest a little bit, and then the heat will kind of go in. That's the conduction that I mentioned at the beginning. It will creep in and heat the interior, making it this slightly rose color. And why did I say you're kind of a champagne bottle? Because the same mechanism obviously applies to cooling things. So let's say you host a party and you forgot to cool the drinks. And you rush and you put everything into ice and your friends are coming 5 minutes later and you yell, yeah, of course I have cold drinks. Here you go, grab one. Your friends grab the drink. The outside feels cold. They open it. The inside is still kind of lukewarm. You're like, oh, not cool. The same happens when you, that is me, are in an ice bath or in a cold shower. The outside is cold. The inside is still warm. And over time only, this heat loss or the absorption of the cold goes into your body. And this is something that we call the afterdrop. And afterdrop simply means that the cooling continues even if you get out of the cold water. Some people think, I'm not in the cold anymore, I'm safe, it's done. Like in the gym, I'm done. It's not strenuous anymore, but that's wrong. Because even after the gym, you are still heated up and it takes time for the body to cool down and kind of to regain that energy. And the same is true for cold training. So just like the cooking of the steak, but here in reverse. Here, everything has been cold and now the cold seeps into your body, into your core, which is facilitated by blood flow and conduction. Meaning this cell takes away energy from the next cell takes away energy, and so forth and so on. And of course, blood flowing through your body facilitates that as well. Meaning your core temperature drops even further, even though you are not in the shower anymore. Coming to a nice topic. Worst things to do to warm up. Take a guess. It is taking a warm shower or a warm bath. Some people think, especially beginners, if I put myself into cold water or just the hand, only the skin becomes cold, and afterwards I can equalize that by putting my hand into warm water. That doesn't work because the cold has already crept in, and heating doesn't catch up with the cooling effect that happened before. I know it feels unbelievable at first, but if you want to try it, take a cold shower. Immediately afterwards, take a warm shower and see how long it takes. It's a nasty feeling because you feel the warmth outside, but you also feel the cold that is still in the inside, and you will just be not feeling well. Second worst thing is dry off immediately or wrap yourself in a blanket. Why is that? I'll explain that in a second, because I need to tell you what happens inside of your skin. So everywhere on your skin you have thermoreceptors that tell your brain it's either cold, it's warm, or it's actually the right temperature. So if it's too cold, this triggers warmth production. If it's too warm, you start sweating and your body tries to get that balance again of feeling exactly at the right temperature. So if you dry off immediately after a cold shower, or you put on clothes, a bathrobe, or wrap yourself in a blanket, your skin becomes warmer. Because that's what I mentioned before, the radiation is trapped between your skin and basically your pullover, your blanket, whatsoever. And then your receptors send a signal to your brain saying, hey, it's actually not that cold. We don't have to do that much. Wrong. And if your brain knows or gets the signal, it's not that cold, it doesn't produce as much heat. So the heat production is reduced to the amount in a normal environment, and it takes longer for you to warm up fully, and that's exactly what you described. Half an hour later, the feet are cold, you still feel cold because you didn't warm up properly. All right, in conclusion, your body keeps cooling after cold training, number one. Number two, you need to learn how to warm up as quickly as possible by yourself and not rely on external help like blankets, warm tea, a hot fan, whatever. And that's also why this is the second goal of cold training. And just for you to keep in mind, cold training is only finished once you are back to your normal temperature. If you're not there yet, you're basically still training. If you want to improve there, you should measure the time in the cold shower and the time that it takes you to warm up, and then compare those over time. At the beginning, you will take a short cold shower and it'll take you a long time to warm up. Over time, you will take longer cold showers and it'll take you less time to warm up. If you don't improve over time with your cold showers, then something is wrong and you should change something. If you want help with that, you can join my free community on School. The link is in the description, and you can track your cold training. I have a free cold shower tracking sheet that you can use so you can see your development over time. Link is in the description. Grab it, it's free. All right, my name is Mr. Cold Shower, and this was cold training.